Hi, I'm Courtney Anderson with the City and County of Denver, and I work in the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Welcome to the public briefings for the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code and the Denver Green Code adoption process. I'll be reviewing proposals for the Code Committee hearings. And this is also in collaboration with Community Planning and Development. This is the short introduction for the public briefings, so to view and hear more about our more in-depth goals, please review the first portion of the first public briefing. Thank you. These public briefings are to keep public updated on Code Committee progress. They're intended to be less technical explanations for upcoming code proposals and previews for what's scheduled to be heard in the upcoming hearings and recaps of what happened in the past hearings. All comments and questions should be brought to committee hearings. So you please go to the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code and Denver Green Code adoption process website, where we have a list of proposed amendments, schedules, agendas, and ways to sign up to attend a hearing. To hear the full discussion and really ask any questions, please attend these Code Committee hearings. There will be 9 public briefings to coincide with the IECC and Denver Green Code Energy Chapter hearings, and these will happen 8 days before the hearings. So on this calendar for February, you can see it happens 8 days before the IECC and a day before the Denver Green Code hearings. And here's a schedule below of these intended public briefing dates. When we talk about the code committees, we're talking about the code committees for the Denver Building and Fire Code and the Denver Green Code. The Denver Building and Fire Code have building codes like the International Building Code, the International Fire Code, the International Energy Conservation Code. And the Denver Green Code is a code that allows the community to test provisions. It's updated every 3 years, and the provisions are reevaluated to see what can be moved to mandatory code. We add more progressive provisions every code cycle to reflect the community's vision for Denver. This code cycle will introduce a limited use mandatory for the Denver Green Code. This will be a limited use for the Denver Green Code on all commercial, including multifamily residential projects. And the goal is to elevate all new building project performance in Denver. Project teams will choose a very small number of provisions from each chapter for each project. And readership will provide a preview of priorities expected to be mandatory soon. The development community can prepare to succeed, and it will accelerate familiarity with the code sections in the Denver Green Code. There will still be the optional full use of the Denver Green Code, which encourages exemplary leadership and shows what's attainable today. This is the Denver Code adoption process. So last summer we started with working groups where we met with community members, subject matter experts, and stakeholders to hear what ideas and concepts they wanted for the City and County of Denver. We then developed those ideas and concepts into city proposed amendments. We also requested public proposals, so anyone from the public was able to submit a proposal to be heard in the committee meetings. Through the end of January to the middle of May, there will be technical advisory committee meetings that will be ongoing to hear and make recommendations to approve or disapprove proposals. Those will be published and be sent to City Council for recommendations of proposals, and there'll be a briefing and a vote. And if that's approved by City Council, then that will create the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code. For the Code Committee structure, the committee hearings will be with Community Planning and Development. There will be 6 committee hearing series. First one being the International Building Code and International Existing Building Code, the International Fire Code, the International Residential Code, the International Mechanical, Plumbing, and Fuel Gas Code, and what these briefings will be focused on is the International Energy Conservation Code and the Denver Green Code Energy Chapters. That will be one series. And then the Denver Green Code non-energy chapters will be another series. There'll be 15 to 30 voting members of each committee series. NORESCO is Denver's code consultant, and they will be facilitating these meetings. They are open to public to listen or to be a proponent or opponent. They will also be following Robert's Rules of Order, where a proponent speaks. Then there'll be speakers in support of the proposal and then speakers in opposition. Then the committee has a chance to ask questions, where there will be a rebuttal in support and then a rebuttal in opposition. And if necessary, there'll be floor modifications and then eventually getting called to a vote. And the committees will be voting to recommend approvals of proposals. And the agendas for the committee hearings will be posted 5 days ahead of the hearing, and the minutes will be posted 5 days after the hearing. There will be 2 committee hearing series with the Office of Community Planning Development and the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency in collaboration. The first one, which I've mentioned before, is the combination of the International Energy Conservation Code, or the IECC, and the Denver Green Code Energy chapters. There'll be 9 hearings for this series, and you can see the dates below. The other series will be the Denver Green Code non-energy chapters, and there will be 6 of these hearings with these dates listed below. Many of you have probably seen a chart like this showing the progression of the various codes and how they compare to Denver's goals. It's based on carbon intensity instead of energy, so the relationship between the codes might look different from similar charts. The carbon is cumulative carbon intensity over a 20-year lifespan, the anticipated average equipment life of new equipment. The carbon intensity takes into account the projected decarbonization of Excel's electricity grid. This allows us to graph the impact of efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy proposals all on one graph. This chart includes the ultimate goal for Denver from Denver's Net Zero Energy Implementation Plan. But keep in mind that this is the overarching goal for the actual performance of buildings. But we are talking about the Energy Code, which primarily addresses the design of buildings rather than the actual outcomes. And we know that there's a divide between the Energy Code and the actual performance in buildings. In 2024, Denver will be adopting policies to address actual performance outcomes in buildings in order to bring actual performance into alignment with code expectations. So the goal is for 2027 code to require net zero energy for design through traditional energy code requirements, and for actual performance to start achieving net zero energy in 2030 through the addition of outcome-based policies to work with the energy code. But always keeping in mind that this is about code vintage. Because of permitting and construction timelines, buildings permitted under the 2022 will continue to be built as late as 2027. This chart includes 2 points for the 2022 Denver Energy Code. One represents the maximum potential of all the proposals that have been proposed, and the other shows where we are with the proposals adopted so far after the first hearing. So we can see that we have the proposals we need to meet Denver's goal. This is all based on estimates of the status of Denver's codes and the impact of the proposals. And some proposals have modeling to support saving potentials, but for most of them, the impact had to be based on best estimates by our consultants, NORESCO and NBI, since hard savings or electrification impact numbers weren't available. When we look at the same chart for residential, we can see that even though the line is not as steep, the national model codes have not made the same kind of progress in the last few code cycles. So Denver residential code has more ground to make up than the commercial code in order to meet Denver's goals. As a consequence, all of the submitted proposals, which include efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy, would not get Denver to its goals unless the proposals are modified to deliver more efficiency, more renewable energy, and full electrification. This chart demonstrates what the impact of 5 proposals have on achieving Denver's goals. So you can see the Denver Energy Code 2022 current status is nearly on top of the Denver Energy Code 2022 maximum potential, because these 5 proposals represent about 90% of the impact of all of the proposed proposals on the table. So this is for commercial, and the 5 proposals are calibrating C406, which is the prescriptive path, calibrating Appendix G, which is the modeling path, electrifying space and water heating as 2 different proposals, as well as having a minimum renewable energy proposal. And the story is very similar for the residential impact. So you can see that the current status and the maximum potential, again, are nearly on top of each other, because these 5 proposals for residential represent about 90% of the impact of all proposals on the table. So it's similar where it's calibrating the R408, which is the prescriptive path, R406, which is the modeling path, electrifying space and water heating, and again, minimum renewable energy requirements. Now I'll give a status update for the proposals that have already been heard in our recent hearings. So this one's for the IECC and Denver Green Code energy hearings. So the first one was C402, mandatory minimum insulation, and that was approved with intent to modify. And I do want to clarify that any that are approved are really approved, recommended to be approved to move forward to City Council for a vote. So the next one is P12.1, operable openings and evaporative cooling. That one has also been recommended to be approved. Number 3, fault detection and diagnostics, recommended to be approved. P24.3, third-party inspection agencies, was withdrawn by the proponent. Number 104, about our 105 inspections, was approved with intent to modify. Number 11, definition for all electric buildings, was approved with modification. Number P24.5, batch sampling, was rejected. P12.3, spaces other than non-transient dwelling units, was tabled for another hearing, and the next 2 proposals as well were tabled. The next set of hearings we'll review is for the Denver Green Code non-energy hearings. Again, approved means recommended to be approved to move forward for a City Council vote. So number 17, the ecological impact statement, was approved with modifications. Number 26, only walkable turf grass, was approved with modifications. Number 28, landscaping requirements, approved with modifications. Number 32, tree preservation and primary and side street setbacks, was also approved with modifications. Number 52, rock mulch allowances, approved with modifications. Number 38, bird safe glazing, approved with modifications. Number 43, declining species support, approved with modifications. Number 45, defining allowable pesticides, fertilizers, herbicides, and organic choices, approved with modifications. And number P1, restoration and maintenance of honeybee population, was tabled. We had a really good discussion on that one, so we need to continue that discussion within the committees as well as from the public for a future hearing. Thank you. So today I'll be reviewing 3 of the top 5 high impact climate proposals for this upcoming residential hearing. We'll be introducing these proposals to the committees, but we will not be taking a vote, but this is the summary of what the committees will be hearing. So the first one is Proposal 47, calibrating R408, which is the prescriptive path. So the 2019 Denver Code and the 2021 edition of the IECC both adopted an additional package efficiency option for residential buildings. This proposal goes a step further by converting the package options into point-based systems similar to the additional efficiency credit systems in C406, which we heard last week in the commercial section of the Energy Code. So this proposal requires projects to select additional efficiency options equal to achieve a credit target. It allows the stringency of the prescriptive compliance path to be quickly and easily calibrated to Denver's goals by simply changing the number of credits required. It provides maximum flexibility for projects using the prescriptive path, since project teams will be able to choose which credits options are the most effective and cost-effective for their particular project. It also allows custom elements of Denver's code to be confined to Section R408, which offers related benefits, such as keeping Denver's code requirements more aligned with those of neighboring jurisdictions, since the efficiency requirements in the main body of the code remain the same. So the next proposal we'll be hearing is Proposal 67 about minimum renewable energy system capacity for residential, and it's very similar to the commercial version we heard last week. So this proposal requires buildings to acquire a minimum percentage, so 20% of their annual energy consumption from renewable energy. But this proposal is also structured to provide alternative options for buildings that cannot physically accommodate an on-site renewable energy system to meet these requirements. Buildings can also comply by implementing any of the two of the following options: having all-electric construction, off-site renewable energy, and additional efficiency measures through Section R408, which we just previously went over. We'll also be introducing or reintroducing proposal number 31 regarding Section R406 ERI, so Energy Rating Index. So this proposal addresses an important need to ensure that the language in Section R406 is clearly understandable and enforceable, and that the ERI and prescriptive paths are well aligned, and that no important requirements found in the prescriptive path are missed in the ERI path. So this proposal calibrates the ERI path to Denver's goals for the 2022 code cycle. Denver's Net Zero Energy New Buildings and Home Implementation Plan sets a goal of ERI of 50 without on-site renewables and 40 with on-site renewables. Another proposal, Proposal 67, which we just reviewed, creates a minimum on-site renewable energy requirement that fulfills the goals of the increased on-site renewable energy for Denver homes. So this proposal is focused on a fundamental performance and has been coordinated with that other proposal, Proposal 67. This proposal does not require on-site renewable energy, but it does allow a small amount of additional on-site renewable energy, 5%, to be used to meet the ERI target to provide some increased flexibility for projects. So today I'll be reviewing 3 of the top 5 high impact climate proposals for this upcoming residential hearing. We'll be introducing these proposals to the committees, but we will not be taking a vote, but this is the summary of what the committees will be hearing. So the first one is Proposal 47, Calibrating R408, which is the prescriptive path. So the 2019 Denver Code and the 2021 edition of the IECC both adopted an additional package efficiency option for residential buildings. This proposal goes a step further by converting the package options into point-based systems similar to the additional efficiency credit systems in C406, which we heard last week in the commercial section of the Energy Code. So this proposal requires projects to select additional efficiency options equal to achieve a credit target. It allows the stringency of the prescriptive compliance path to be quickly and easily calibrated to Denver's goals by simply changing the number of credits required. It provides maximum flexibility for projects using the prescriptive path, since project teams will be able to choose which credits options are the most effective and cost-effective for their particular project. It also allows custom elements of Denver's code to be confined to section R408, which offers related benefits, such as keeping Denver's code requirements more aligned with those of neighboring jurisdictions, since the efficiency requirements in the main body of the code remain the same. So the next proposal we'll be hearing is Proposal 67 about minimum renewable energy system capacity for residential, and it's very similar to the commercial version we heard last week. So this proposal requires buildings to acquire a minimum percentage, so 20% of their annual energy consumption from renewable energy. But this proposal is also structured to provide alternative options for buildings that cannot physically accommodate an on-site renewable energy system to meet these requirements. Buildings can also comply by implementing any of the two of the following options: having all electric construction, off-site renewable energy, and additional efficiency measures through section R408, which we just previously went over. We'll also be reintroducing proposal number 31 regarding section R406 ERI, so Energy Rating Index. So this proposal addresses an important need to ensure that the language in section R406 is clearly understandable and enforceable, that the ERI and prescriptive paths are well aligned, and that no important requirements found in the prescriptive path are missed in the ERI path. So this proposal calibrates the ERI path to Denver's goals for the 2022 code cycle. Denver's Net Zero Energy New Buildings and Home Implementation Plan sets a goal of ERI of 50 without on-site renewables and 40 with on-site renewables. Another proposal, Proposal 67, which we just reviewed, creates a minimum on-site renewable energy requirement that fulfills the goals of the increased on-site renewable energy for Denver homes. So this proposal is focused on a fundamental performance and has been coordinated with that other proposal, Proposal 67. This proposal does not require on-site renewable energy, but it does allow a small amount of additional on-site renewable energy, 5%, to be used to meet the ERI target to provide some increased flexibility for projects. Hi, so I'll be reviewing the proposals for the upcoming IECC and Denver Green Code Energy hearing. These proposals are scheduled to be heard at the next hearing, but given the discussion time, some of these may roll into the next hearing after that. These are my notes and summaries of the proposals taken from the reason statements and the overall body of the proposal. For public proposals, I've done my best to not change the intent of the proposals. To read these in detail, please visit the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code and Denver Green Code Adoption Process website, where we have a list of proposed amendments. And to hear the full discussion and ask any questions, please attend the code hearings. Let me share my screen. So the first proposal we'll be reviewing today is public proposal P45. This is about change in occupancy. So this proposal clarifies the change of occupancy requirements in Chapter 11 of the IRC and in the commercial and residential provisions of the IECC. This proposal adapts Denver's amendments to Section C505 of the IECC and modifies it to address a change in occupancy or use from an IBC structure to an IRC structure and vice versa. Let me scroll down. The City and County of Denver encourages the reuse of structures. In Denver, we often see IBC occupancies converted to IRC uses. The current provisions place an undue hardship on applicants that choose or are considering to reuse a structure. For example, a change in occupancy from an IBC lodging house to a dwelling unit would require an applicant to comply with the requirements of the IECC for new construction. The structure would be required to meet all of the mandatory provisions of the IECC. So this proposal clarifies that IRC uses would be in the same energy demand category as IBC R occupancies. So this will provide clarification when there is a change in use or a change in occupancy from an IRC to an IBC occupancy. And you can read this proposal in detail on the website. The next proposal is proposal number 23. And all of these that we're discussing today are based in residential IECC code. So this is for R402.1, general prescriptive path. So in order to create parity and calibration between the prescriptive and the performance compliance paths, and to ensure movement towards the 2030 goals, changes were made in the R and U value tables, which you can see here. The U value changes for windows are based off the total building performance reference home table, R405.4.2, section vertical fenestration and other than opaque doors. So this section makes compliance with the IECC more difficult when the window to floor ratio is above 15%. Changes in the R and U value table equalize compliance within the compliance paths to begin the journey to climate action goals of net zero energy new homes. The SHGC has been lowered because of its impact on the manual J head load calculation, which has been driving up equipment sizing in order to have capacity to meet the load. And it also addresses slab, edge, and under slab insulation values. The next proposal we'll be reviewing is proposal number 7, R403.3 duct and air handler locations. So the purpose of this proposal is to take an incremental step to bring all ductwork into the building envelope by requiring that the air handler be installed within the envelope and any ductwork located in a ventilated attic be installed in such a way that it can be insulated properly to perform. And there's been substantial research conducted that documents that ductwork located in unconditioned attics use 25 to 50% of the heating or cooling energy put out by the HVAC system. Bringing ductwork into the envelope is a tested strategy to reduce this loss. And there's a Denver Green Code version of this proposal, which requires ducts to be inside the conditioned space or to be installed so they perform as if they were in the conditioned space. You can read this in detail as well on the website. Next proposal is proposal 46 about R403.3.5 duct testing. So the 2021 IECC changed the format of the duct testing requirements. The Denver 2018 IECC adoption allowed leakage as high as 6 CFM, while the 2021 allows leakage as high as 8 CFM in specific circumstances. This proposal narrows compliance to 4 CFM, and the Denver Green Code proposal narrows it further to 3 CFM of leakage. This ensures clarity and integrates Denver's 2019 amendments and better defines what constitutes the duct system that must be tested. In addition, the proposal better matches the city's 2030 goals by creating better and more efficient duct systems. The next proposal is proposal 11.2, R403.1.3, continuously burning pilot lights. And this, the purpose of this is to be more specific regarding the appliances that are not allowed to have standing pilot lights. Water heating equipment has also been added to the list of mechanicals. And water heaters have been added because of the inefficiency associated with a standing pilot light, and because water heaters backdraft and create combustion safety issues in a home. This becomes both an efficiency and health and safety issue in the IECC. The next proposal is proposal number 45 about R402.4.1.2 testing air leakage. And this proposal is put forward to ensure there's consistency of language between the City of Denver's 2018 IECC amendment and the newly added language in the 2021 IECC. So the City and County of Denver currently has exceptions for air leakage requirements of 3 ACH for townhomes and ADUs. So this proposal addresses those building types in exception number 2 down here by using the CFM per square foot of shell metric, which was added in Denver's amendments during the 2018 IECC. And exception number 1 has been modified to ensure that heated garages are not considered to be inside the building thermal envelope. And the last proposal that's scheduled for the upcoming IECC and Denver Green Code Energy hearing is proposal number 49 about R404.5 solar ready. So the purpose of this proposal is to move the solar ready appendix RB to the main body of the code as a requirement. So one objective of the City and County of Denver's 2021 IECC adoption is to ensure that all new construction under the new code is ready for electrification. The possible addition of on-site power production largely services that goal and the greater 2030 goal of Denver to get to net zero energy homes. So this proposal outlines what is needed to be considered ready to install solar renewables after the certificate of occupancy has been issued. And you can see all these requirements here regarding obstruction, shading, conduit, different electrical reserve spaces. So you can read all these details from our website online. So this is the summary of the proposals that are upcoming for the IECC hearing. Again, not all of these proposals might be heard at this hearing. It depends on the discussion that's occurring, and some of these may be shifted to the next hearings. So thank you very much.